From your report, you will have noticed that you have insight into each of your dominant drives. These are your top 9 drives. These are the drives that play most strongly in you. These are the ones that energize you the most. These are the ones that pull you the most towards those particular areas. And it's important to understand that, because by understanding your dominant drives, you will be more equipped to be able to channel yourself towards that and invest time, effort, and energy into building them to experience and capitalize on that exponential growth. You'll also get insight into your drainers, and your drainers are your bottom 6. Those will tend to be the drives or the areas in which you feel drained. And wherever we feel drained, we tend to create a resistance. We resist the things that drain us. And so you want to avoid areas that drain you as much as possible, or at worst case scenario, manage around them. In the middle, we have a grouping called neutral drives. These drives are not dominant for you necessarily, and they're not necessarily drainers for you. They're kind of neutral, which means that they don't energize you, but they don't drain you. And so sometimes we can draw upon those drives when we need to, but it's not your most natural way of thinking, feeling, or behaving. And sometimes it requires more of a conscious effort or a conscious intent in order to access those drives, but they are accessible. Then in the report, you'll see there's a section on navigating your career. And so the navigating towards section of the report will give you insight into the environments, the roles, and the mandates that you need to navigate your career towards based on your dominant drives. And then in the navigating away from section, will give you insight into the environments, roles, and the mandates that you need to navigate your career away from. We don't live in a perfect world, so it's probably not going to be 100%, but if we can get 80% of the way there, in other words, 80% of our drives are engaged and we avoiding 80% of our drainers, that's a good place to be. Then you'll see another section in the report called managing your drives. And from all of our experience over thousands of hours of coaching and training, we have identified areas associated with each of these drives where it requires a bit of personal growth. And when you grow in those particular areas, you will learn to manage them more effectively. If I give you a hammer and you don't have the skill on how to use that hammer, you're probably going to hurt yourself. If I give a hammer to a little tiny kid, they're going to hurt themselves. It doesn't mean that the hammer is not useful. It just means that we need the skill to use it effectively. And similarly, our drives are like the hammer. Without the skill, sometimes our drives can cause really big detriments. It's like a moth drawn to the flame. We're drawn there because it brings us energy and it energizes us. But if we don't know how to use it, we're going to get burnt. The hammer's going to hit the finger. So it is really important to manage those drives well. And then the last section in the report is coaching and training needs. And this will give you a lot of insight into what are some of the areas where you might need coaching, and what are some of the skills that you can acquire perhaps through training that will complement your drives. So strengths-based psychology, as you will remember, is all about focus on building on your natural drives, maximize your natural drives into strengths, and manage around your drainers. And therefore, the coaching and the training needs predominantly, or exclusively, in fact, focuses on what are the things you can do through coaching or training to build on your natural drives.